Danmachi fans rejoice. Wistoria, another fantasy series by the original creator of the series, is here. Is it wrong to pick up extra credits in a dungeon, I guess? A series with so much similarities that it makes you wonder why you don't just go watch danmachi again. We had the dungeon tower in the center of the town. We had the whiny weak protagonist that everybody looks down on, pushing through everything with effort alone. The godlike figures looking down upon the citizens. Promise made to one of those godlike figures a long time ago. A Minotaur-like fight in the very first episode. Although he takes the role of Ais Wallenstein this time. The list goes on, but jokes aside, it's not as if this show is a direct copy-paste. There's still plenty to be had here. Taking aspects of something like Mashle and kind of blending it together to create an overly smoothly animated series. But after watching the first 2 episodes, I'm here to give my thoughts on it, so let's jump right into it. Wistoria Wand and Sword opens up with our extremely weak protagonist named Will Surfort. See, in this world, magic is everything. Magic is powerful, magic is strength, everything. The idea of even picking up a sword is just foolish. They even have stories in the past where the dwarves were being subjugated, and at some point they rose up against the mages. I mean, a mage, and the mage wiped out an entire army of 10,000 dwarves. Magic is everything in this world. And yes, so happens our main character cannot use magic. Big shock there. But yet he's going to an academy for mages, which doesn't make much sense, but we'll get into that in a minute. But yes, he's constantly bullied, the teachers laugh at him, everybody laughs at him. Why are you even here? At some point, we do find out a little history here that yes, our main character, our weak protagonist character, is doing all of this for a girl that he talked to a long time ago. His friend Elfaria. See, at some point in the distant past, mankind was covered in darkness. They were being terrorized by the celestial host, and at some point, 5 wizards rose up, faced off against it, and sealed the sky itself. Well, both Will and Elfaria a long time ago were discussing the idea of going up this tower where the mages were actually at, where they sealed off the sky, becoming a Magia Vander, which allows you to be up there and see the sunset that you can no longer see because the sky itself is sealed. Well, Elfaria became a Magia really quickly because she actually can use magic, while his Will was left behind to be scrutinized. Now you ask yourself, how do you become a Magia Vander, one of these members that actually can rise up in the tower where Elfaria is? Well, you either have to complete the tower, you have to create magic, which is pretty much limited how many people can do that, and finally, to get a ton of credits at the academy. And since he can't do magic to gain credits, this kind of limits him on what he can do, to do a lot of book learning or to defeat monsters. So Will, with sheer strength alone, which he is very strong, in addition he is very observant of things, is pretty much brute forcing his way up the tower. All the while, instructors are questioning why he's there, they're trying to test him and push him out. The headmaster herself seems to be very intrigued by him because he is overcoming magic with his skills, able to even cut through barriers that mages create. All the while being supported by the cute Colette, who obviously is not going to win in the end because the guy is really obsessed with his Elfaria. It's a story about a world that is so consumed by magic, and then you have the one guy that's going to flip it on its head because he is a warrior, essentially. What story wouldn't be complete without our bully in the school itself that at some point is nearly going to die before Will comes in and saves him, and he's still like, I don't like you, and walks away. We have a mascot cat, for some reason, that has not been explained yet, but it's a cute little cat that follows him around. And even Waver himself is at the academy, constantly grumbling about magic. And that is the idea behind Wistoria Wand and Sword. The concept of the wand and sword is that, yes, Elfaria is the wand, whereas Will is the sword. They come together to create Wistoria, the story of Will. So my thoughts on this series so far. It's okay. It is an okay show. Visually, the show looks really good. A lot of animation put in the show. I will admit that it's kind of in that realm where it's a bit too much. I know that's shocking. I don't know. Just follow me on this. There is a sense where sometimes the animation is too much. Like, not because there's too much animation. I'll take as much animation you can give me. But the motion, the movement of the character seems excessive. Like the character is just moving a little bit too much left and right, that it feels almost like they're trying to, I guess, exaggerate motion. And again, I'll take as much animation as I get, but sometimes it's like, okay, they're moving a bit too much. It looks awkward. But still, I'll accept that if I can get really good animation like this. Yes, as kind of predicted, it seems like with episode 2, they chilled out a little bit with that. And that was kind of the expectation. Episode 1, make it overly exaggerated animation. Then episode 2, tone it down to what we're probably going to be the standard going forward. But it still looked good. Even in episode 2, it looked really good. I think the thing that I love so much about what they're doing with the animation is that they put a decent amount of effort in hair. And I always love whenever hair itself doesn't look like it's just kind of this plastic piece on their head. A lot of the visual perspective, the impact of magic, and the action itself is really well done. I think the only argument that I can give visually that I don't like is I don't like Will's character design. And I guess you can chop that up as the creator himself. He likes very unique looking characters that kind of stand out, and Will looks stupid. I'm sorry. He's got the whole question mark head thing going on. This massive Hage up here. And it's like, how does this thing stay up there? It looks dumb. I think his character design is okay overall. It's just, I hate his hair. But visuals aside, again, looks really, really good. They're doing a great job directing everything. All that stuff's fantastic. The story itself, it's okay. It's got enough here to kind of push it forward, but at the same time, I will admit that this is a tired thing here. I am very kind of tired of the extremely weak and bullied character who has some special trait that makes him super OP. And I was expecting that coming into this. I'm not gonna act like this is a shock or anything like that. Like I even joked before, even in the previews and everything, that this is literally Mashle Magic and Muscles, but the danmachi version. And it's pretty much it. Is the idea of the main character being bullied and looked down upon by everybody in the society because, similar to Mashle, this is a society, and I don't care which one created which one's first. I have to put that stipulation in there. I don't care who made what first. I didn't look it up beforehand. I don't care. It's the idea of the society itself being so kind of ingrained in the concept of magic as everything, which it's always been, like I said earlier. The dwarves were standing up and trying to fight them, and an army of 10,000 got wiped out by one person. But I do like they kind of circle back to that story and the idea that in that story of the dwarves, one of them managed to land a blow. And similar to Will himself, he's that one dwarf. That one dwarf that technically should deserve some respect. And I thought that was really cool there. But again, that's the concept here. He is nothing but muscles. He is nothing but strength and observation. So his way of doing everything is to push forward. This isn't a Mashle thing where literally he just goes up and he one-shots everything. It still takes a lot of effort here. This isn't a comedy action series. This is more going for an action fantasy series. So there is going to be a lot of effort here, a lot of strategy that he's going to be employing in order to take down his targets. Now, I will admit, so far, nothing really strategic about the battle so far. It's really just screaming and running a lot and saying, I've seen that before. He's that kind of character. If he's seen it once, it's enough, and he's perfect against countering it, because apparently everybody strikes exactly the same way every single time, and he figures that out and he overcomes it. But Will himself, he's fine. I really have no care for him so far. So far, he gets the sympathy points. Like, I feel bad for him because he's being bullied and he's being looked down upon. He had this person that he wanted to be with, obviously showing that he loves this character. He's pushing forward. He's trying to strive and overcome things, all for the sake of arriving at this one thing. He's got one single goal. Everything else around him doesn't seem to matter, which is fine. But at the same time, I will admit, don't really see much in his character. And that's unfortunately par for the course for the danmachi creator. I didn't care about Bella either. Bella was the same way. He has one single focus and he keeps going after that one single thing. But I don't know. Hopefully after all these introductions, maybe we'll finally get into his character and he'll have something else to him. So far, I think a lot of my interest in this series so far has come from the world building, which it was the same thing with danmachi. I really do appreciate the worlds that he creates, even though, again, there's a lot of similarities, a lot of borrowed stuff for danmachi in this world. Again, the massive tower in the middle of it, climbing the tower, all that kind of stuff is there. But there's an embedded political structure and the beliefs of magic and whatnot that's in this world. I'm kind of curious at some point if we'll get into concepts of enhanced magic that possibly Will himself is employing. I thought originally that's what it was going to be, that he was employing some sort of enhanced magic, but so far it seems like he's not using any at all. But it possibly could get into that. Maybe a possibility that he can create some sort of magic that will cause him to be able to enhance himself. There was one intriguing thing the headmaster said. The headmaster who runs the school itself, she's allowing Will to stay there. There's a lot of rumors that Will, the only reason that he was allowed in the academy to begin with was that they wanted Elfaria, and they kind of came in a package. But now that Elfaria is, already a magia, they're wondering why Will is even there still. But again, the headmaster is kind of intrigued by Will because he's able to overcome magic, able to cut through barriers and whatnot. So he has like sheer will and talent that she's intrigued by. And she says something to the effect that he doesn't have a guardian. I think that she was talking about him specifically, that he doesn't have a guardian. And so that's probably what they'll eventually get into, the idea that possibly people with magic have guardians or some sort of being that is granting them that power. And since the whole idea here is the combination of the wand and sword, my assumption will end up being that, yes, Elfaria herself will become his guardian. How she does that, I don't know. Is a guardian a being that's beyond the seal itself that's granting that power? Or is it possibly one of these magias can possibly become a guardian to one of these people? And that would probably give him the power to be more overpowered than he already is right now and create the concept of the wand and sword. They also have already indicated this idea of some sort of foreseen moment in time that is arriving here soon. That their focus is to raise up these individuals to become powerful, to get more mages and whatnot, because of this designated time where I'm assuming the seal goes away, because when they have showed this seal, which again at this academy you'll see the big tower in the middle, and then at the very top you have like the seal up in the sky, and that's what those 5 wizards created. And I thought the other magia were maintaining that seal, but I'm assuming that at some point that seal is going to disappear because it looks like a half moon, and so this thing is like decaying over time. And I'm assuming that once that seal goes away, the celestial being is going to show back up again, and Will's going to have to one-shot it. We all know. We already know where this is going, and will have to one-shot it. But again, it's kind of showing this idea that there is something coming up eventually. Whether we'll get that in this first core, or if this is something that's way down the line for the light novel, who knows? I will admit that the moment-to-moment of the show so far hasn't really intrigued me too much. I think it's doing really well and kind of keeping my attention because of the directing and the animation, but I will say that a lot of the conversations in between most everything is just kind of mostly just him being bullied, him pushing toward his goal, Colette constantly trying to get his interest, even though we obviously see that Will is obsessed with Elfaria, and thus Colette's never going to be able to get him, and just the different administrators and the instructors talking about Will. So hopefully things will kind of get mixed up more going forward. We'll get a little bit more intrigue thrown in the story, maybe a little bit more into Will himself to make him more than just a I'm after one goal type of character, maybe a little personality thrown in there here and there or whatever. But so far, it's decent. I'm enjoying it. It's doing enough. Hopefully things get a little more interesting going forward, but that's my thoughts so far on Wistoria. Hope you guys enjoy this video. As always, if you did, hit that like button down below, comment. Let me know what you think of the series so far if you're going to be checking it out. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button is on my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top lists. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. I'll be doing first impressions of all the shows this season, so definitely stay tuned. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have links in the description below in order to support the channel. I greatly appreciate everybody it does, and y'all take care.